Imagine this someone deliberately pushes your buttons, pokes at your vulnerabilities, trying to ignite a fire in your chest. Your heart races, your mind storms, and every instinct screams to lash back. You feel that surge of anger building, and if you give in, you'll lose more than just a moment. You'll lose yourself. Let me tell you something crucial. Calm is not weakness. Calm is the secret weapon you carry when the world tries to make you reactive, when chaos tries to steal your clarity. Every single person who has mastered their emotions understands this truth: your response is yours alone. Nobody can control it but you. Here's the first step: awareness. Pause, just notice. Feel that heat in your chest. Observe the racing thoughts, the itch to speak words you might regret. Naming the emotion, I am angry, I am being provoked, already begins to dissolve its grip. The moment you recognize that someone is trying to control your emotional state, you reclaim the power they were attempting to steal. And here's the secret: most people never embrace provocation, only has power if you hand it over. By staying conscious, by observing without reacting, you create a pause, a sacred space where wisdom can rise over instinct. That pause is where calm is born. The next sections will guide you through 10 actionable, emotionally intelligent strategies to respond with grace, strength, and unstoppable calm. But for now, remember this: you are not your emotions, you are the observer, and in that observation lies freedom. Here's the brutal truth: most of us react impulsively because we've been wired to survive, not to thrive in conversation. When someone provokes us, our brain goes into fight or flight mode. Adrenaline spikes, thoughts become jagged, words turn sharp, and before we even realize it, we've handed over our power to someone else's agenda. But here's the secret that few ever master: you are not a puppet of your emotions. You are the conductor of your inner orchestra. The first note of calm starts with something deceptively simple, but unimaginably powerful: breath. Yes, breathing. Slow, conscious, intentional breaths. Inhale, hold, exhale. Feel the shift in your body. Notice how your shoulders drop, your chest opens, your mind gains a sliver of clarity. It's a tiny pause, almost imperceptible, but it changes everything. That pause gives your rational mind time to re-enter the conversation before your survival instincts hijack it. And here's the beauty: breathing is not just physical, it's emotional armor. With every conscious breath, you reclaim a fragment of your composure. You tell your nervous system, I am safe. I will choose my response. I will not be a hostage to your provocation. This is your first step toward mastery. It's not dramatic, but it's profound. People may still try to trigger you, but your calm becomes a shield. They may raise their voice, push your buttons, or attempt to gaslight you, but your center remains untouched, unshakable. Breath is your anchor. Every inhale reminds you decide the weather inside your mind, not them. When someone is pushing your buttons, your emotions often feel like wild horses galloping uncontrollably. Anger, frustration, irritation, they surge, ready to burst. Most people feed these emotions by reacting immediately, but here's the life-changing insight: naming your emotions is like flipping a switch in your brain. Pause for a moment. Say to yourself, mentally, quietly, I feel anger, I feel irritation, I feel provoked. Don't judge the emotion. Don't fight it. Just label it. That simple act triggers your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles reasoning and self-control. Suddenly, your emotional storm has boundaries. Suddenly, you're not lost in it. You're observing it. This is not some abstract psychology trick. It's emotional armor. When you label what you feel, you shift from being a reactive participant to a conscious observer. You stop being the puppet. You reclaim the strings. And when provocation comes, your brain recognizes this is a feeling, not a command. Here's the deeper truth. Most provocateurs thrive on chaos. They want you to react before thinking, to escalate before reasoning. But once you label your emotions, that chaos loses its fuel. You gain control over your inner climate and the other person. They realize they no longer have the power they assumed. So in every tense interaction, your mantra becomes, I notice, I name, I release. One phrase, 3 actions. An emotional firewall that protects your calm, even when the world tries to ignite a storm. When someone provokes you, the instinct is often to speak first, to defend yourself, to strike back with words that burn. But here's a truth most people overlook: silence is a weapon of power, not a weakness. When you pause, when you don't respond immediately, you take back control. You refuse to hand over your emotional energy to someone else's chaos. Think about it. Every word you speak in the heat of provocation is fuel for the fire. Every reaction signals that their attempt to destabilize you worked. But when you remain silent, something magical happens. You reclaim the narrative. You become untouchable in that moment. Silence gives you the space to breathe, to observe, to assess. It's a pause filled with intention rather than reaction. And let's get honest, silence feels uncomfortable. That itch to speak, to justify, to argue, it's natural, but leaning into that discomfort is where strength lives. It signals emotional maturity, self-respect, and inner stability. People who understand this know that the most potent response is often no response at all, or a carefully measured one that comes after thought, not impulse. Silence also communicates confidence without aggression. It shows that you are grounded, centered, and not a puppet of provocation. Others may interpret your calm as indifference, but inside you are mastering yourself. You are choosing peace over chaos, clarity over reaction, wisdom over impulse. Remember, your silence is louder than their words. It echoes self-control, resilience, and the unshakable power of a calm mind. When someone pushes your buttons, the natural reaction is to see them as the enemy, to imagine their intent as personal, and to feel your defenses rise like a fortress. But here's the paradox that transforms chaos into clarity. Empathy is your superpower. Understanding, even in the tiniest measure, what might be driving someone's behavior can neutralize your emotional reaction before it ignites. Pause and ask yourself what pain, fear, or insecurity might be fueling their actions. This doesn't excuse cruelty or manipulation. It simply shifts your perspective. When you see another person as a human being struggling with their own storms, your anger loses its grip. Your heart softens without weakening your boundaries. Your mind regains clarity. Empathy creates a buffer between provocation and reaction. It reminds you that the world is messy, people are imperfect, and emotions are contagious only if you allow them to be. By consciously stepping into empathy, you take ownership of your emotional state rather than surrendering it to someone else's chaos. And here's the magic: empathy doesn't mean compliance. You can still stand firm, enforce your boundaries, and protect your peace. But now you respond from a place of strength rather than reactivity. You choose your words carefully. You choose silence when it's powerful. You choose calm as your default state. In essence, empathy transforms provocation from a personal attack into a shared human experience. And in that transformation, you rise above the storm while others remain trapped in it. When someone deliberately tries to provoke you, it can feel like a personal assault. Your ego flares, your pride tightens, and every instinct tells you to fight back. But here's a liberating truth: most provocation is never really about you. It's about the other person, their words, their anger, their need to control or intimidate. It's a mirror reflecting their insecurities, fears, and unresolved pain. When you internalize this truth, your perspective shifts dramatically. You no longer take the bait personally. Their provocation becomes a story about their struggle, not your failure. You start to see the patterns, their criticism, their insults, their attempts to dominate. They are the cracks in their own armor, not yours. And that understanding is pure power. Reframing allows you to maintain emotional distance without coldness. You can observe, respond wisely, and stay grounded while they remain entangled in their inner turmoil. It's the difference between being reactive and being sovereign over your own emotions. Here's the practical tool. Each time someone tries to push your buttons, mentally tell yourself, this is about them, not me. Repeat it like a mantra. Feel the tension in your body ease. Notice how your heartbeat slows. Your mind regains space to choose response over reaction. The most empowered people in life understand this secret. When provocation comes, you have two choices: become a mirror for their chaos, or remain an island of calm. Choose the island. Choose clarity. Choose freedom. One of the most misunderstood truths about staying calm under provocation is this: calm does not mean weakness, and patience does not mean permission. To protect yourself, you must set boundaries, but the key is doing so without giving in to anger, resentment, or reactivity. Boundaries are your declaration that your emotional space is sacred. They are not walls of hostility. They are lines of self-respect. When someone pushes too far, pause, take a breath, name your boundary clearly and calmly. I will not continue this conversation in this tone, or I am stepping away until we can speak respectfully. Notice how different this feels from yelling or reacting impulsively. Boundaries delivered from calmness carry far more weight than words fired from fury. They communicate power, clarity, and self-control. Here's the subtle secret. Anger may feel justified, but it often clouds your reasoning and fuels conflict. Calm boundaries, however, protect your peace and subtly teach others how you expect to be treated. They are an invisible shield that keeps provocation at a distance without escalating tension. Implementing boundaries also trains your nervous system to expect calm, not chaos. Each time you respond with composed firmness instead of reactive aggression, your brain learns a new rhythm one where you dictate your emotional state rather than surrender it to someone else's chaos. Remember, boundaries are not punishment. They are empowerment. They are the quiet, confident force that preserves your dignity, your clarity, and the calm you fought so hard to cultivate. When someone is trying to provoke you, tension tightens every muscle, and your mind races toward confrontation. But here's a counterintuitive truth: lightness and humor are among the most powerful tools for staying calm. They don't dismiss the situation. They dissolve the emotional charge that fuels it. Imagine this: instead of snapping, you allow yourself a small, quiet smile. You notice the absurdity of the provocation, not in mockery, not in sarcasm, but in recognizing that their attempt to disturb your peace is ultimately a reflection of their inner chaos. That subtle shift rewires your nervous system. It slows the heartbeat, softens the tension, and creates space for choice. Humor can act as an emotional reset. It breaks the rhythm of escalation. A light, well-timed comment or even an internal mental quip can remind you that you are bigger than the moment, stronger than the insult, and calmer than the storm they're trying to create. It's a silent signal to yourself. I will not be hijacked. I choose peace, even if chaos surrounds me. Here's the beauty: those who provoke often rely on your intensity to fuel their game. When you respond with calmness or light humor, you take away their power without engaging in conflict. You become untouchable in a room full of fire because your inner flame burns steadily, unaffected by their sparks. Never underestimate the liberating power of a little humor. It softens the edges of anger, strengthens your center, and creates an invisible shield that no provocation can penetrate. Calmness infused with lightness is not weakness, it's mastery. Here's the secret many people overlook. Calm is not only cultivated in the moment, it's trained long before provocation arrives. You can mentally rehearse responses, visualize interactions, and prepare your emotional armor so that when someone tries to push your buttons, you are already grounded, centered, and unshakable. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the person who tends to provoke you. Imagine them saying the words that usually trigger you. Now, instead of reacting, see yourself breathing deeply, standing firm and responding, or choosing not to respond with poise. Notice your heart rate stays steady, your thoughts remain clear, your body is relaxed, yet alert. You are calm, fully present, and fully in control. Rehearsing these moments in your mind rewires your nervous system. Your brain begins to recognize provocation not as an emergency, but as a challenge you are equipped to handle. You reduce the intensity of the initial emotional spike, giving yourself the gift of choice, the choice to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This practice is like mental weightlifting. Each visualization strengthens your emotional resilience. Over time, the mere anticipation of provocation triggers calm instead of panic. You start to meet challenging interactions with confidence rather than fear. Remember, the mind is a battlefield, and preparation is power. By training your thoughts before chaos arises, you are creating an unshakable calm that no one can steal. You are choosing mastery over reaction, freedom over anger, and wisdom over impulse. Now imagine yourself fully embodying all of this, breathing deeply in the heat of provocation, naming your emotions without judgment, holding your silence as a shield, seeing the other person's pain instead of your own insult, setting clear boundaries, diffusing tension with lightness, and stepping into each encounter with mental rehearsal as your armor. Imagine the unshakable center within you that no words, no anger, no chaos can penetrate. That is not a dream. That is mastery. Every time you face someone trying to provoke you, you are presented with a choice: react and feed the storm, or respond and rise above it. And here's the empowering truth: calm is not passive. Calm is courage. Calm is strength. Calm is a conscious declaration that your peace, your dignity, and your clarity are inviolable. By practicing awareness, labeling emotions, pausing, applying empathy, setting boundaries, infusing lightness, and mentally rehearsing your composure, you are no longer at the mercy of others' attempts to destabilize you. You become the architect of your emotional state, the captain of your inner ship, navigating storms with grace instead of panic. So remember this as you leave today: provocation is inevitable, but surrender is optional. Chaos will knock at your door, but calm can answer. Your power lies in your pause, your breath, your choice. Stand firm. Speak wisely. Smile inwardly. And let the world see a person unshakable, untouchable, and gloriously free. You are the calm in the storm, and no one can take that from you.